Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I know I've been a bit of a break, have been chaotic because family and stuff's been over, but this is a video that's been asked for a while and I've been getting a lot of feedback recently. Also, welcome to all of you who have come over from TikTok. The support's been absolutely amazing. I can't say it enough. It's been so refreshing. The amount of chill people and normal people that genuinely support my content that have come over it's overwhelming, and I appreciate it so much. I've been so happy with how nice everyone's been and just genuine, and it's not something I ever expected. So thank you guys so much on that front. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying the content. But anyways, the question, getting into the whole discussion here for the video, is how do I start streaming? How do I start doing YouTube? What is your advice for both of those? And I wouldn't say I'm a very big content creator at all. I'd say I'm still fairly small. However, I do have advice because I have been streaming 4 or 5 years. I've been creating content. I've watched people do content because I'm a nerd and studying it. And I'm hoping I can clear up a few things that can help people a lot. The first thing that is huge for if you're going to do content creation is if you're doing it for money or numbers, you're in the very, very wrong field. I cannot tell you how many people go insane that I've seen join this field because they're trying to do it for their income or they're trying to do it for numbers, just period, for whether it be viewership or not. The reality is you are not going to get 1,000 viewers or hundreds of viewers overnight. You are not going to become ninja overnight. The great thing with the growth of Twitch, it has created a lot more opportunities and growth in the field. However, it also created this misconception when Ninja blew up with Fortnite and everything that everyone is Ninja or that everyone will turn into Ninja overnight. And the reality of that is not the case. To make a long story short, Ninja had grinded since pretty much the get-go and had busted his ass, and he was in the right place at the right time, and he had the right people help push him and helped him grow. You can go do more research on that. It was not just he started streaming and overnight he started making millions of dollars. So get into it for the right reasons. I've seen so many streamers that start streaming because they try to do it for money and viewership, and I've unfollowed so many people or clicked off of so many streams because I join and people are chewing them out for not giving enough money, whether it be through subs or tips, or that they don't have enough viewers. You're being an entitled ass if that is what you're like. No one is required to watch your content. You do not have right to say that or not. It sucks. It is a factor of luck. But at the end of the day, it's no different than if you were to move out to LA and you were to try to go into acting. Not everyone gets their big break. It sucks. That is the reality of it. And you have to come to terms with that before you start streaming or while you're streaming, or you're going to have an awful time. But I see people go absolutely insane and they don't have fun with streaming. And sometimes people get too in their head with streaming and the money and the numbers and people forcing down their throats what they want them to do, that they even burn out off of that. So do it for the right reasons. That is my biggest advice to any content creation, whether it be streaming, whether it be YouTube, whether it be you're doing TikTok or whatever. Do content because you think it is going to be fun. And if it is not genuine that you're doing it for fun, it is going to be very, very, very obvious. The second thing with streaming, I guess I shouldn't really number it because I'm kind of just improving this as I go, because I do say a lot of this stuff on stream when people ask. Another big thing is you do not have to dump thousands of dollars into your setup to be able to create good content. At the end of the day, if you make good content, that is what's going to get you the most viewers. That is what's going to get the most traction to your channel. Quality helps to an extent, but most of us that have cameras, real cameras, or XLR mic setups, or nicer headphones, or sponsorships, or things like that, it's because we've been streaming for years. We've invested into that. We've done our research and stuff on that. By all means, if you have money to blow, go and invest into it. Most of us started off with nothing. I started off streaming off of the Xbox app when that first came out for Twitch in 2015. I was streaming COD and Minecraft. I streamed off my dual-core laptop for a while and burnt it to a crisp. I have the funniest picture of my setup that I would have to dig up. I don't know where it's at, but I mean, it was scrappy. I didn't have 2 monitors. I didn't have some fancy damn keyboard. I didn't have a camera at the time that I really used because I wasn't going to show my face or anything originally. There's a lot of factors, but you don't have to have a $100, $1,000 damn camera. You don't have to have a $1,000 audio setup. You don't have to have a $2,000 PC. You don't have to have necessarily a $1,500 PC. No one's stream starts off with great quality or high expensive items. It turns into that because you invest into it over time. But I have also seen people that dump thousands of dollars into really high-end equipment, never really messing with streaming before, assuming that was going to get them thousands of viewers overnight. And again, it being obvious, and they come in and they're disappointed and they're like, why the hell don't I have viewers? And the reality of it is, like, that's not the important factor. It is your content. You have to focus on the content you're putting out. And it's not easy. It's not just going to happen overnight. You know, it's in the right place. It's doing all of the right things, but also being in the right place at the right time. Over 50% of it is luck. So yeah, it's, again, one of the things you have to come to terms with. Do it because you like it. The best advice that Taylor has given me, my boyfriend, that him and Cody have talked about, which is another one of our buds, is you should look at content creation as a highlight reel of your life. You should be happy with it. You shouldn't necessarily be doing it for other people, because you'll be happy if you're doing it for yourself and putting out stuff that you're satisfied with. Look back at your VODs. Look back at whatever it is that you're creating. If you're live streaming, it's your VODs. Look back at your YouTube videos. What can I improve on? Don't shit on yourself. Don't be like, God, I'm not getting this traction. This sucks. Look at it as what would I think be more fun? What is this something that I'm going to be happy with to improve? What can I do to work on to improve myself with my editing or with my live streams? What can I do to be more entertaining? What can I do to make my VODs better to look back at? You know, so it's not just my live streams. What can I do better that's live? What can I do that's more interactive with my audience? You know, you have to think about different things that's going to be happy with yourself, but improving yourself and your content in a way that you're going to be happy from a viewing perspective, seeing fit. You can't just look at yourself as the streamer. You have to look at yourself as a viewer, though, as well, and think of the other perspective to an extent. But you should do it as what you're happy with, as viewing your own content. It is a highlight reel of your life. You want to be happy looking back at it. You don't want to look back and regret it or be annoyed that you did these things because other people tell you to do it, or because you're like, shit, I still don't have this growth. You're always going to be jealous and angry at your content if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and you're looking back and you're like, damn it, you know, this isn't good. This isn't good. And all that. And we all have cringy content we look back on, but there's a difference between being happy, like, yo, I remember that, this is nostalgic, and all these other things. And yeah, there might be cringy bits too. God, I hate it. God, you know, why didn't this pop off? Why didn't this do better? Why didn't this, like, you know, you can't look at it negatively. You have to think of it, you know, logically, and you have to do it for yourself. So that's the biggest things that I can say that are huge misconceptions that you got to change your perspective on things. Another thing, if you're starting out with streaming or with YouTube or whatever social media platform it is that you're on, you should use your moderation filters to your ability. And this goes modding in general. Don't be afraid to ban someone. If someone's being an asshole, they're being an asshole. And if you keep them around your community, if they're getting the green light to say and be an asshole to you, you're letting other people that are maybe watching and don't feel quite right enough to say that, to now come out of lurk mode and be like, oh, they're letting that person be an asshole. Hell yeah, dude. It becomes a hive mind. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to join in with him and I'm going to be an asshole. This behavior is acceptable here, blah, blah, blah. Take it from someone who's been there. I let people walk all over me and kind of be way too toxic to me when I shouldn't have, and did a complete remodel of my stream, and it helped. I got different moderators in there, and I'm not saying this is necessarily going to be the case for everyone else, but if you create a toxic environment, a very vicious environment, you're giving a home to a very toxic and vicious environment. If you want a welcoming community and everything like that, you have to get rid of that stuff. And as well as, it's not good for you or your mental health. You don't deserve to hear that crap all the time, because there's a difference between constructive criticism and someone being an outright ass to you. Another thing is, take use of your moderation tools that are there. A lot of people don't realize the amount of moderation tools that Twitch has built into their site now that help streamers a lot, or any social media platform. There is a blacklist filter on most social media platforms. It almost seems like it's just a requirement now for social media platforms. Keywords, whether it be slurs or nasty words or phrases you don't want to hear, one being like, porn, if you're a female streamer, or, whore or slut, right? Variations of that, or any like racial slur, you should add those into your blacklist filter. Don't let people say that nasty shit in your chat, period. It makes it way harder for people to go around your filter in your chat and say those things. So the likelihood of toxicity being in your chat where they can type freely and you're not using the blacklist filter and you're seeing all these negatively things, because if you do grow, it's a lot harder to moderate, right? As well as you're not always 100% of the time going to be looking at your chat. So you need to have things that are trying to catch it. You should work on it. It protects yourself. It protects your community. It looks better for you. So don't be afraid to use that blacklist filter. You should always check out those, or a comments filter is sometimes what it's called. You can whitelist words if you don't want certain things to be blocked from your channel. But don't be afraid to ban people. Don't be afraid to add those phrases. If there's personal things you're worried about people saying, like your real name, you can add that into your blacklist filter. You know, stuff like that. You take use of it, use it, protect yourself. Also, another thing with moderation, if you're going to mod people, get good mods. Do not mod people because they're your top donator. Don't mod them purely because they're a regular in there. Do not mod them just because they suck your dick. Don't mod them because they threaten you or with not donating more. Like, that's stupid. Moderate someone who's going to keep you with a level head. Moderate someone that's going to know right from wrong, morals, know what the direction is for your channel, what is and is not acceptable. Moderate someone that you can trust. You know, don't just hand it out to all of your friends for status. Moderate people that are actually going to be in there and they're actually going to moderate. But you want moderators that are genuinely going to moderate your chat. If you're going to mod someone, they need to know how mod tools work too, or at least practice it. You know, create an account that they can practice on if they don't understand how things work and they are interested in moderating. But you also shouldn't over moderate people in your chat too, because way too many swords can be very, very off-putting. It looks almost, it's like it creates a wall of tenseness as a viewer. Not always. Like if it's a like more of a professional stream, like large stream, it's a little bit different because you kind of have to have a large amount of moderators there, I feel like. But if you've modded pretty much everyone in your chat and there's only like one viewer that's unmodded, that's too many mods. Mod someone who's there most of the time that you trust, that is going to uphold the rules that you want and help you form the community that you want to form. Don't over moderate people. Don't be afraid to moderate your chat yourself. Like it's not solely their job. You're not paying your moderator to be there. It is not 100% of their duty to keep your chat clean. They're volunteering to help you out. If you are big enough and you're able to pay them, awesome. But that is not the reality of it. They are not required to be there all the time. You are not required to make them be there all the time. If they don't want to be there, they don't have to moderate your chat. If you need help and they're not in there, message them. Hey man, it seems more toxic today. Can I have some help in chat? I can't deal with it. I've done that with my moderators before. And if they can't, it's no harm, no foul. I will like have to try a lot harder. I'll have to go edit some things. I'll have to temp mod someone. It's not a big deal, but they are not required to be there. And you should never make them feel like they have to be. But if you need help, you shouldn't be afraid to reach out to them. There's a difference between asking and trying to force someone to be there and making them feel bad about it. Another thing with streaming and YouTube anymore, the reality of it is that it is a very, very saturated market. That's the other reason I said that you should get into it for the right reasons. The odds of a breakthrough are, again, I keep comparing it to like acting or something in LA. It just doesn't happen very often. It's a stroke of luck. It's hitting the right algorithm. Twitch doesn't have an algorithm, for example. You have to dig and dig and dig. Let's say Fortnite has 1 million viewers under the directory, because this is the easiest example, big example I can give, right? Fortnite has 1 million viewers. How many of those are split up between the top streamers? Generally, the first, full row have like tens of thousands. The next row have like a little under 10,000. Next row generally would have something like, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And then the next chunk is generally like between the 700 and 500 viewer range. And then you also throw in the fact of that's just guys streaming in general, right? And some girls. You throw in the fact of being a girl streamer is also a lot different, because that's just how it is too. It's just reality, right? Most female streamers do not grow past a threshold of, in general, I should say, not under just specific sections. Most female viewers do not grow go past the 150 to 300 viewer range. If that sickens your stomach from the start and you see that as a path that's going to block you off, then you need to be cautious. There's a reality you don't grow, whether it be guy or girl. Girl, it's a little bit harder. It's just the reality of it. You'll have a lot of creepers that come by and follow and things like that, but keeping like genuine people around is a lot harder. So you have to be prepared for, that saturation and that, to have that soft growth or that soft, like the level cap, the soft cap. You can see it as, you can either choose to see it as motivation or to see it as something that you're not going to get mad about because some things are just they're out of your capability to change it. Anymore, being a full-time streamer, people don't realize the amount of effort you put into it. I am what I would consider a small channel. I bust my ass. I'm fortunate enough to stream full-time and do content creation full-time. But the reality of that is, I made sure everything was comfortable and you didn't just hop into it. You should never just hop into full-time streaming. If you do, 99.99% of the time, you're a damned idiot and you're setting yourself up for failure. That's not healthy. You should be streaming. You shouldn't stream or do content creation full-time unless you are stable for several months prior to it before jumping into it. You shouldn't just drop your job. You shouldn't just drop college and all that. Don't be afraid of getting a degree. You should have a backup plan with how saturated it is, because there's a chance it fucks up or you fall off. Like, that can always be a thing too. Streaming full-time anymore. Again, this is what I do. I stream full-time. That's just streaming alone. Okay. So that's between 30, 40 hours a week. I stream. I am my own manager. I sometimes have people that will help, but I manage stuff myself. I am my own PR or social media manager as well, not just a regular manager. I've studied business and everything else. I am my own editor, though I do have an editor that does help with my stream highlights. I edit a lot of stuff myself. I am my own IT person. I am my own tech person in general. Audio, camera, lighting, everything else. Like, you work everything yourself. Your own studio person, I guess, is what that could kind of fall under. I edit my own stuff on TikTok. I edit most of my stuff on YouTube. That is not the stream highlights. You don't just stream. Anymore, to stream or to try and push past that wall, just streaming alone or just creating YouTube videos alone is kind of hard to get your name out there because it is just so saturated. I can do all this and there's no guarantee I'm going to grow. I got very lucky, and I'm not even expecting the hype to stay around. I have gotten very, very lucky so far with the fact that I have caught some traction on TikTok. Prior to that, my viewer average, and again, I think I'm just on a hype wave. I am expecting it to die off. It would be because I don't want to set myself up for failure and feeling bad when and if it does. If it keeps up, awesome. I'd rather be surprised by it, but I'd rather keep the reality of that it does maybe fall off. Prior to my TikTok, okay? So right now, me recording this, I am at 13,500 subs. Prior to TikTok, 28 days ago, I have gained over 7,000 subs in a month. My Twitch concurrent viewership has doubled in a month. Same with my sub count on Twitch. My Twitter hasn't really changed much. My Instagram, it has gone up over 4,000 followers on Instagram. I am at over 10,000 right now. My TikTok grew 90 to 100,000. I grew 100,000 followers on TikTok in a month and a half, almost 2 months. If I had not had that traction and been lucky, I would be still stuck at 5,000 on YouTube. I would be stuck at my maybe 50 concurrent viewership, which on Twitch, my however many subs I had on Twitch, half, it has doubled. It's like I got lucky, and who's to say these people stick around? The reality of it is there's a good chunk that's not going to, and they're here for the hype because that's how people are. It'd be dope if it keeps up, but the reality is that's not always the case for people. So I am set up for that. That's also something you have to consider if you're growing as well. You might grow and it might fall off. You have to be prepared for that. That's the industry. That's the fun and shitty thing of it. It's unpredictable, but it is not a stable industry. And if you're okay with that, that's awesome. So something to consider. The other thing too I want to say with streaming is a lot of people don't realize that any money you make is like taxable. You should have an accountant and ask them questions maybe beforehand. It's a big reason why I did things with my tips or donations that I did prior to, as well as I didn't want money to be a factor. And some advice that I would like to give on to you guys if you're going to start streaming. What you make is taxable. It's different depending on where you are. When you start streaming, you are a sole proprietorship. You generally use PayPal, things like that, right? For tips or donations. And I know it's a little bit different now because bits. If you're not a business account, and depending on where you're at standing wise and the people you talk to, you might not be able to get a business account on PayPal. But depending on the circumstance, people can see your information with PayPal. So you have to be considerate of that. It's taxable. PayPal keeps record of it, gives this to the government, things like that, right? You generally will owe money and you should have someone who knows how that works to help you with it. It's a little bit different because you're in the entertainment industry and things change all the time, especially since you're considered a sole proprietorship, or unless you end up getting an LLC, depending on like size and things like that, right? There's a bunch of different factors. But when I started streaming, because I knew those were a thing, I knew business stuff before high school. I took business classes, I took accounting classes. I was very aware that was a thing. So when I started streaming, as well as I didn't want to do it for money and I didn't know where the hell it would go and it just looked fun, I didn't want to think about that. I didn't want that to be a thing. I waited until people pestered me constantly. I did not put donations or tip panels up until in 2016. I started streaming in 2015. So if I started summer of 2015 is when I first went live. I didn't regularly start streaming until daily until really November of 2015. And even then I didn't really have a set schedule. So I streamed for over 6 months until I put stuff like that up, because I knew, one, my information being given out, and two, I didn't want that to, like, it's tax stuff is like fucky, man. Like, you got to be really careful with it. Like, you can't just get away with everything. Otherwise it's going to come around to bite you in the ass. Be careful with that. I would really recommend doing that to start with, or you could possibly get screwed over. I think it's a good way to keep yourself level-headed when you're starting streaming and making sure you're getting in the right mindset and focusing more on your content and stuff. Not to say that you can't edit, but I think it's just advice to take. I'm glad I did it that way. I know there's a couple of those streamers that did the same thing and they liked it, but I think it's something to just kind of consider when you start streaming. I don't think there's anything wrong with selling lewds, but keep in mind, whatever you do on the internet is there forever. Things can get passed around. We had this discussion earlier on stream. Your stuff, if you make public, it is connected to your Twitch. It is connected to your YouTube. If you make it known, if they share the same username or your name, it is tied to you or with your face, you know? And I know a lot of people use that to promote. Keep in mind, since that is traceable, something that could happen, and it doesn't mean this behavior is acceptable at all, because no sexual harassment is. When you do stuff like that, though, since it is there, keep in mind you're going to be possibly more vulnerable. And keep in mind that that audience sometimes can creep over. If you don't like people with that connection and looking at you that way, it is something purely to consider if you're going to make things offsite. There's nothing wrong with doing it. If you want to make that bank, honey, go do it. I'm all for it. But it's just something that I know everyone like really promotes it. And it's something that as a content creator, I think being very careful of that, especially with, you know, younger girls. I know that's one thing that is kind of concerning, especially with what I see on TikTok, you know, people doing more like sexualized dances. And then you see younger kids that don't realize how many creepers and such are on the platform, or they are younger, or even if they are at 18, not fully aware of what they're doing. I've grown a lot as a person. It's scary to think of like how much I've changed since I've been 18 years old and, you know, considered doing things like that and at different points. And it's scary to think of like how people possibly could have taken advantage or like done things like that. And it's unfortunate because there's people that way. And it's, again, not to say that you can't do it, but I think especially with a younger audience, and if there are younger girls that are watching and things like that, I don't think it is something, especially when, as we are girls, feel very like trapped on growth a lot of the time. You shouldn't feel like you have to create that content to make money, right? You can if you want to. But you should not feel pressured to put things out there to make it in this industry. But feeling like you have to do something versus wanting to do something is something entirely different. And when we're younger and we're wanting to reach towards certain things, we don't fully grasp the repercussions that it could have when we get older and we realize and we regret things. So to my younger audience that is wanting to stream, or people that are younger than me, you know, I'm only 22. Obviously, I'm still pretty young. I know some people think it's pretty young, but I feel like I've grown a lot. And as someone who almost did that, I personally am glad I did not do that stuff, because it's something I know my family would have seen, something that anyone could have searched online and probably seen. It's creepy that that audience maybe could have, you know, trying to stalk me or in my streams more than what already is. And again, nothing wrong with doing that, but it is something that as younger girls, don't feel pressured to do that if you do not want to do it. Don't let that pressure you or like the fall. I know a lot of people that have done stuff with the like sex positive things, and some of them do regret it. Not all. Don't feel like you need to do that in this industry, especially to grow. So something with when you're streaming, be conscious of it. Think long and hard on it before you do, or like, you know, make a very rash decision. Think about like, is this what you want out there? Do you want to do it, or do you feel like you need to do it? And I know it's like kind of a sensitive topic, but I don't want my stuff, any of it misconstrued. I'm just thinking of like younger me in that circumstance that does see all this going on and did almost do something like that. And if there's any like younger me's that are out there that, you know, were in a similar situation and kind of feel that way, don't feel like you have to do that. Be careful of what you put online. This also doesn't mean just because you dress cute or whatever. This is not an attack on any of that. This is purely just thinking younger perspective, how things can impact and how we change when we get older sometimes, or people feeling pressured to do things in society versus what we really want to do, and rationalizing it and thinking of all different angles of stuff. So do not take it or misconstrue anything that I have said. This is not a hate thing. Again, it's purely just me thinking and talking down to, you know, or talking back to my younger self who did like struggle with content creation and, you know, did kind of get in that mindset of like, everyone's doing it. I feel like I'm pressured or that I need to do it. That's not the case. You shouldn't have to feel that way, and you shouldn't do it if that's your reasoning. So yeah, I think the only other thing that I can say is obviously, you know, common sense, don't self-promote. You self-promote, you're going to get blacklisted from streamers and you're burning bridges. Any content creator, not just streamers. I blacklist people that anytime someone sells out, I block. I'm not going to, if they're blocked, I do not just randomly block online. This is also advice, I guess, as a content creator. Know why you're blocking people, you know, have clear idea in your head of why you're doing it. I personally don't block people unless they're being a dick. They're being an asshole. They're fucking creepy. All they do is harass online creators. You know, pretty basic. If I see people self-promoting and stuff all the time, I block them. And if someone's like, yo, why did you block me here? And I look, it's like, well, it's one of those reasons. So I don't want to support you. I don't want to, you know, check your shit out. Something to keep in mind. If you do that shit, you're burning so many bridges. I know I do it. I'm sure there's other people that react the same way. Being genuine about stuff versus being a snake goes a long way too. It's really obvious when people are being snakes and they only reach out to you at certain times. Yeah, I really think that's like the quickest things that I can think of. Let me know if you guys have any other questions about streaming or YouTube, and I can always make like a part 2 or an updated video for this. But I think these are like the biggest misconceptions to streaming and the best advice that I can give. I know some of it's kind of long-winded. I feel like a lot of it needed to be said. You know, be careful. Online, the internet is a fantastic place. It allows us to communicate with so many people. It allows us to create awesome friendships, reach more people than we ever have been able to before. But there's also a dark side to it, and you need to protect yourself and be kind of prepared for it. You gotta have thick skin as a streamer. You gotta have thicker skin if you're a girl. Just like the reality is if I was a person of color and also a girl, I would have a double whammy. It is being very conscious of what there is online. Prepare yourself, protect yourself, you know, have a good time, do it for you, do it for the right reasons. Yeah, be proud of yourself, man. Don't let other people be a dick to you. You don't deserve that. But yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and I hope this helped people that were genuinely curious and, you know, answered some of the common questions that I got asked. But yeah, if you guys don't know, I do try to upload here as frequently as I can, on top of streaming and everything, like I said before. All my social media is the exact same as my Twitch name. My YouTube name, I'm gonna continue to mess that up. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so used to rambling that off at the end of every stream. But everything is the same as my YouTube name, Kruzadar. It's super easy to find me on everything. If you don't want to click the links, you can search it. Super, super easy. But all the links will be down below if you're curious about those as well. If there's any other questions or you want to drop by and say hi to my Twitch stream, feel free to. Thank you guys for watching the video. Feel free to leave a thumbs up if it was helpful at all. If you have other questions, and again, feel free to ask those, and I can possibly do a part 2 depending on if there's common questions that are getting asked. or something that is more specific or topic in depth, feel free to let me know. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Again, seriously, I know I like touched base on it a little bit at the beginning of the video, but thank you guys so much. I never could have dreamed of having such a positive wave of people come over at once. The difference between chill people and nasty people and weird people is so drastically different. I never expected. I assumed like if I grew, I was gonna have like a bunch of nasty shit thrown at me, man. And I'm still kind of prepared for that to happen at some point. But seriously, everyone has been so nice for the most part, and it is so refreshing. So thank you guys for that. I'm very appreciative of it. Fuck, I have not like sat off stream and talked about it. But yeah, I didn't expect any of that to happen. So thank you guys for being awesome and positive and genuine, and not some fucking weirdos, and not being assholes. Yeah, anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. I'm gonna stop being emotional and happy now. I love you guys. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.